There's an incredible amount of solitude, okay, and it's unbelievable. Imagine the nearest human being is in the International Space Station. Not a patch of the sea was blue or black, it was white. It was white because it was frothing, it was foaming, it was like angry. I landed on the boom and fell on the deck, and I thought there was something wrong with my back. My knees were just not obeying me, I was collapsing.
Commander Tomy, yours has been an incredible story of survival. How does it feel to be alive?
It's good. It's good.
And have you recovered from your injuries?
Not yet, not completely. My neurosurgeon has said that I have recovered, but I think I'm not back to normal yet. It'll take another couple of months to be normal. I've been through storms before, and I usually look forward to storms because it's a once in a lifetime experience. You get a 30-knot knock almost every week, but a 70-knot storm is.
Doesn't sound like fun at all.
Oh, for me it is. I mean, it's like, for me it's paisa vasool, I get my money back if I go through a storm like that. But nobody had any idea that this would be so bad, as bad as it turned out to be. Every storm has a certain characteristic, but this one is something that I have not seen before. It was an incredibly fast-moving storm. Usually the fronts at those latitudes move at about 10 to 15 knots. As in, the system is moving at that speed. And there is strong winds inside the system. But this system, when I look back, I think it covered something like 300 miles in 4 hours. It was like zipping across. But I was happy, I was seeing that sea. I was very happy to be in that moment, in that boat. Waves coming from two directions, it became very difficult to judge which is the better. The first wave got me at about close to noon India time. And the boat had a knockdown. The mizzen boom broke. I went inside, it was a complete mess inside. Everything was thrown out everywhere. I put back things in place. The gas was leaking. I put the galley back in place, switched off the gas. The day tank of the engine was, the side glass broke and diesel was leaking out. And then the floorboards were like stuck on the roof, and I put everything back. I put all the charts and compass, everything back in place. And then I went out and started steering the boat again, and there was a second knockdown. And it's in the second knockdown that I somehow found myself on top of the mast. I fell from there onto the boom. The mast was about 9 meters high, the waves were about 15 meters. So I really don't know how, by what height I fell. But I landed on the boom and fell on the deck, and I thought there was something wrong with my back. But I went inside, again started cleaning up the mess. And finally, after half an hour or something, when I stood up, my knees were just not obeying me. I was collapsing. I thought I'd lie down for some time, and maybe after half an hour I'll start, work all over again. But it didn't improve. So I pulled myself onto the bunk and I secured myself there.
So what happens over the next 3 days? You're out there in the ocean alone, what is usually called a black hole. How do you survive? What do you eat? What do you drink? What's going through your mind? What happens over the next 3 days?
So I'm immobilized. I'm lying in my bunk, and then the race organizers are asking questions, and they want me to activate my EPIRB, which is the emergency position indicating radio beacon. And maybe if the back is better, I can rig a jury rig and take the boat to either Mauritius or to Australia or something. I had a lot of hiccups, and the hiccups were so bad that I was choking on my own breath. My stomach started to hurt because of the hiccups, and there was a lot of acid buildup in my stomach. So my entire throat and esophagus became very raw and very, it was burning. And I vomited in between. Although I was not feeling seasick, I vomited. And when I vomited, the hiccups stopped for half an hour or something. So I realized there's a connection and I can control my hiccups by vomiting. So the next day, I rolled out of my bunk. I crawled to the EPIRB, removed the EPIRB, threw it on my bunk. I crawled to the next bunk, picked up 6 cans of iced tea, threw it on my bunk, crawled back, got into my bunk, I activated the EPIRB. And from that day, I was sipping on iced tea, throwing up, controlling the hiccups, and kept doing it for 3 days till rescue came.
Were you aware that a 3-nation rescue had been launched, that the Air Force and the navies of India, Australia, the French were all looking for you?
I did get text messages from the race organizers saying that Gregor is coming for me. It's such an incredible story. This guy is dismasted. His engine is not working, but he rigs up a temporary, mast, a jury rig mast, and he is limping to help me in the middle of nowhere.
At any point during those 3 days, did you think, ab to main gaya?
No chance, no chance. I'm a reconnaissance pilot in the Navy. I've done this exercise so many times, gone looking for survivors, been the survivor, in simulated drills. If the MRCC gets a message that you're in distress, eventually somebody will come. So there was, at no point did I feel that I'm not going to make it. It was just a matter of time. How long, I didn't know. But definitely rescue would come.
When you see the crew walk in, what do you say to them? What are you thinking in your head?
Well, the crew came on board, and at the companionway they knocked and said, do we have permission to come inside? I said, of course, please come inside. And they came inside, and I told them, you're like angels to me. You're like literally pulling me away from the jaws of death and taking me back to life.
Ultimately, you got on to INS Satpura. Were you aware at that point of time that the captain of INS Satpura himself had lost his father when he was making his way to rescue you?
I had no idea. I had no idea until the captain himself told me the story, and it was so moving, for somebody who suffered such a huge loss to leave everything behind at such a point in time in his life, and comes south, deep south, to 40 degrees south to pick me up. I think it was just an incredible act.
You clearly have recovered, from the trauma. Has your family, or have they given you an ultimatum and said, no more sailing, too dangerous, not worth it?
Nothing like that, nothing like that. In fact, I was speaking to my wife one day, and I kind of, was testing the waters, and I told her that 5 years ago, if I'd introduced myself as, say, an IT engineer or something like that, would you have married me? She said, no. See, that's why, I'm a sailor, that's why you like me. So maybe I should go back to sailing. And then she got the drift, and she said, you get better, you get fit, and maybe you can.
How's the boat doing, Thuraiya? Is it still out there at sea? Has the Navy managed to get it back on shore?
I have no idea. Gregor, when he left his boat, managed to secure it properly. He left the tracker running and all that. But I presume my boat might have sunk by now. I really don't know.
Does that hurt a bit?
No.
That's super cold.
Well, it's not super cold.
Your only companion for months, and it sinks, and you're saying,
you see, you need to realize that it's I who breathe life into it. So the moment I'm out of it, it's another lifeless thing. But when I'm there, it's got its life.
My last question to you: when you look back to those 3 days, what's your predominant thought, lessons learned, larger lessons learned, and any regrets?
I just wanted to win the race. Not win the race, at least perform well. In the beginning, I just wanted to turn up for the race. And for me, just turning up was a big thing. The only guy from Asia. People would come and ask me, which country's flag is this? And I was very proud to tell them it's an Indian flag. Well, there are a lot of big lessons I've learned, but mostly it's about how to do a better race next time.
Keep sailing. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.